Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of AndrewsFootball.com. Now, with day one in free agency just starting off with a boom, there was three big trades that happened today, and I just had to make a video and give you my 2 cents about these three big trades. Now, if you're new to Andrews Football and you're a football fan, you're at the right place, because this is all we do 365 days a year, 366 this year, is we just talk football. So if you haven't already, there's a button right around here. See it? Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now, let's break down these trades. Trade one. Buckner goes to Indianapolis. This trade makes sense for both teams. Now, DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead were not both getting paid by the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers agreed to a 5-year extension with Eric Armstead, and we're not going to be able to pay DeForest Buckner. Now, in a perfect world, the 49ers would love to get both these guys, but unfortunately, since due to salary cap restrictions, they had to let one go. They decided to keep Armstead, get rid of Buckner, but they got good trade value for him. They got the 13th pick overall in the draft. Now, keep in mind, 49ers still don't have a pick in rounds 2, 3, and 4, but they do have the 13th and the 31st pick in the first round. Keep in mind also they drafted Solomon Thomas with the 3rd overall pick in 2017. Maybe he steps up this year and helps fill the hole. So even though San Francisco loses quite a bit defensively, they do get a really high draft pick, the 13th pick overall in the draft, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that draft capital. Now, Indianapolis, on the other hand, loses a lot financially and draft-wise, but they do have the 2nd and 12th pick in the 2nd round, so they can still make some moves come draft. They maybe even possibly get back in the 1st round if they need to, but their biggest hole was in that defensive line, so they obviously addressed that. So I really like this trade for the Indianapolis standpoint. Overall, Indianapolis wins this trade because they get better, San Francisco gets worse, and even though they do get the 13th pick in the draft, they're not going to get a player who's going to have as much of an impact as Buckner did on that defensive line. So San Francisco gets worse, Indianapolis gets better. Second trade I want to talk about, and I didn't see this coming at all. DeAndre Hopkins goes to Arizona. Now, this trade just floored me. I didn't see this coming at all. Why would the Houston Texans trade their best player? Now keep in mind, J.J. Watt's not the same guy who was winning defensive MVPs, and this isn't a slight against Deshaun Watson, who's an excellent quarterback. But DeAndre Hopkins is carving a place in Canton. Watson's not there yet. Now, I like to play devil's advocate and try to look at the Houston Texans side of things. And here's their perspective. If they get a guy who's capable of getting 1,500, 2,000 yards from scrimmage in David Johnson, then they actually made a pretty good deal here. The actual trade is, here we go. David Johnson, a 2020 second, a 2021 fourth, and the Cardinals get Hopkins and a 2024. So the Texans didn't have a 1st round pick. They went ahead and traded that away for Tunsil. But the 40th pick in the draft isn't bad. Now, David Johnson, if he comes back healthy and he gets back on track the way he was in 2016, this could actually be a good trade. I mean, this was a guy who did some really good things, but he's been injured, and he was replaced by Kenyon Drake in Arizona. But this scheme's going to be a much better fit for him. So I could see if he stays healthy and he's able to get the playbook down, that he could have some big numbers. And that's what this trade comes down to, is that David Johnson, does he come back 2016 form, or is he going to be so-so? Because if he gets 300, 350 touches and 1,500 total scrimmage yards, this could actually look pretty good for Houston. Now, personally, I don't see David Johnson staying healthy, because, I mean, once you start having health issues the way he has, I don't see that happening. And Hopkins will miss Watson. No, this isn't disrespect Kyler Murray, but Watson's a much better quarterback right now. So Hopkins' numbers are going to take a dip in Arizona. All right, they just are. The way I see it is that if Houston doesn't have double-digit wins this year, if they don't win the South, they don't get back into the playoffs, Bill O'Brien might be gone, because this is a big deal. And Arizona, even with Hopkins, I still see them having problems getting out of the cellar in that division. So my draft grade on this is actually incomplete, even though I didn't see it coming. And my first inclination is that Arizona won. I kind of want to see how healthy Johnson's going to be, and how much Hopkins' numbers are going to dip in Arizona. Now, the third trade, Stefon Diggs goes to Buffalo for what? You're not going to believe this. All right. Stefon Diggs goes to Buffalo for a first, a fifth, a sixth, and a fourth in 2021. And Buffalo gets Stefon Diggs in a 2027th rounder. If you're a Bills fan, you've got to be pissed at this. Diggs wasn't happy with Cousins. Do you imagine how pissed off he's going to be with Josh Allen overthrowing him? I love Josh Allen, but as far as just pure accuracy as a passer, Cousins is up here, Allen's down here. Allen's strength isn't being a pure passer. Cousins is. So this is not a good situation. I'm not even sure Diggs is the best receiver on the Bills. I'm not sure that's not John Brown. This is a terrible move. But does he make the team better? I mean, he does. He's not really a number one wide receiver, though. He's just not. He's better suited. He was number 2 guy behind Thielen. In Minnesota, on the other hand, they get a ton of draft capital. They get rid of a locker room cancer. And you know what the funny thing is, in this draft being as deep as it is, they don't even need to use any one of those first round picks on a wide receiver. They can replace him at pick 58 in the second round, or they can use 89 and 105 in the third to trade up and get a good wide receiver. This is a deep wide receiver class. There was no need for you to do this, Buffalo. So in a deep wide receiver class, Buffalo just shit themselves and give a home run to Minnesota, who gets rid of a locker room cancer. They get way too many draft picks and really just make out like a bandit. Now, this is my opinion of these 3 trades, but I want to know what you think here. This channel is about just talking football. I offered you my opinion on these 3 trades. Now I want to know what you think. Now tomorrow I'm going back to talking draft. So hey, I'll see you tomorrow.